November 2nd, 1943. Bougainville Island, in the thick jungles of the Solomons. Private Tanaka moved quietly through the vines and mud, his rifle raised, the long steel bayonet glinting faintly in the moonlight. He wasn't alone. 11 Japanese soldiers crept beside him, silent as ghosts. This was their world. The darkness, the silence, the kill. For 3 years, Japanese night fighters had dominated the Pacific. They called it the art of silent death. Tanaka remembered his sergeant's words. The Americans fear the dark. They hide behind their machines. But we are the night. Far away, artillery thundered, the distant boom of American guns firing blindly into the jungle. Tanaka smiled. Let them waste their shells. Soon, his squad would be among them. Bayonets would find their mark. That was the plan. But then, it happened. A sound none of them had ever heard before. A roar that shook the air. Not the crack of a rifle, but something deeper, closer, like thunder exploding from the trees. Leaves and branches to his left simply vanished. The jungle itself had been torn apart. What Tanaka didn't know was that this sound would change the Pacific War forever. Japanese soldiers had been trained to fight with spirit, not steel. At military academies, they spent 4 times more hours practicing bayonet attacks than shooting rifles. Their doctrine was clear. The spirit of the Japanese soldier makes 1 man equal to 10 enemies. They believed Western soldiers, especially Americans, were soft, dependent on machines, and terrified of close combat. The bayonet was not just a weapon, it was their soul. And for a time, it worked. In China, in the Philippines, in Singapore, their charges crushed larger forces. Every man learned the Bushido Creed. The way of the warrior is death. But all that would meet its match in the hands of a few U.S. Marines. 9 days after the Marines landed, Sergeant Yoshio Takahashi led his men through the tall grass before dawn. They were confident, moving in silence toward what they thought were frightened Americans. Then they heard it. Chunk, chunk, boom. Takahashi was gone. Nothing left but mist and shredded leaves. The thundersticks had spoken. The Marines had brought something new to the Pacific. The Winchester Model 97 pump-action shotgun. Each shell carried 9 deadly .33 caliber pellets. When fired, it unleashed a wall of metal. One Marine said, "They came screaming, bayonets shining." At 30 yards, I started firing. Each shell spread out like a steel net. You couldn't miss to the Japanese. This was not war. It was horror. Their reports called it a cowardly weapon, one that lacked honor. Their solution: fight harder, move faster, rely on spirit. But spirit didn't stop buckshot. Wave after wave of Japanese soldiers charged the Marine lines. Each time, they were torn apart. One survivor later wrote, "The Americans have a demon weapon. It rains metal. Men fall in groups, not one by one." Still, Japanese officers dismissed these accounts as exaggeration until the evidence became impossible to ignore. A company of 187 Japanese veterans launched a textbook night attack against Marines near Munda Airfield. By dawn, 163 were dead. The Marines fired over 2,000 shotgun shells in 20 minutes. Doctors treating survivors described what they called shotgun syndrome: bodies with 9, 12, even 15 entry wounds. One Japanese surgeon wrote, "These weapons create trauma like artillery. Men hit at 30 meters look as if struck by bombs." Major Choguru's battalion, 850 men, crept toward Marine positions. They never made it within 20 meters. Sergeant Yukio Mishima, one of the few survivors, later said, "The jungle exploded. Men disappeared. Lieutenant Hagawa's chest opened like a flower. There was no glory, only execution." After the battle, Japanese intelligence finally understood. The shotgun wasn't a coward's tool. It was a nightmare machine. One officer wrote, "We taught our men to bring swords to a thunderstorm." The weapon that shattered Japan's warrior spirit was simple: a 12-gauge pump shotgun first built for hunting birds. But in the jungle, it was unmatched. The Winchester Model 97 could fire 6 shells in under 2 seconds. Each one sent 9.33 caliber balls flying down range. At 10 yards, the spread was a foot wide. At 40 yards, nearly 4 feet. A Japanese soldier charging through that was already dead. A Marine sergeant once said, "In the jungle, that Arisaka rifle might as well be a stick. But my shotgun throws a baseball-sized storm every half second." Lieutenant Kenji Ishikawa wrote in June 1943, "When we close to sword range, they will break as they always do." By November, his words had changed. "I have seen the thunder guns. They destroy men. There is no honor in this death." At the same time, Marine Sergeant Dale Miller wrote home, "Mom, we have these shotguns like Dad uses for ducks. They work real good in the jungle." Months later, his tone shifted. "I shot an officer last night. He was just a kid. The buckshot cut him in half. I can't sleep. I keep seeing their faces. The same gun that saved lives also haunted the men who used it." 30 years later, a Marine named Jim Patterson met a Japanese veteran, Teishi Ogawa. Ogawa bowed deeply. "You were the one with the shotgun," he said. "You killed my squad in seconds. For years I hated you. But now, I thank you. You ended our madness quickly. You spared us from suffering." Patterson began to cry. He said the shotgun was both the best and worst thing that ever happened to him. It saved him, but it never left him. By now, the Japanese had changed. No more bonsai charges, no more bayonet glory. Their orders were clear. Spiritual strength cannot overcome American firepower. They dug in, refused to die for nothing. Ironically, the Americans now paid the price, fighting months instead of days to clear those positions. The samurai spirit was gone, replaced by grim survival. A captured document said it plainly. The age of the sword has ended. Survival, not glory, is victory. After the war, Japan learned from its defeat. By 1954, the new Japanese self-defense force made shotguns a standard weapon. The same tool they once called dishonorable was now essential. One general wrote, "We learned our lessons in blood. Only fools ignore such education." In the decades that followed, Japan's military rewrote its entire doctrine, from blind courage to smart firepower, from dying gloriously to surviving intelligently. The shotgun didn't just kill soldiers, it killed an idea that bravery alone could defeat modern war. One historian later wrote, "The Americans didn't fight without honor. They simply defined honor as bringing their men home alive." The thunder in the jungle had silenced the samurai spirit forever, and its echo still reminds the world. In war, courage without adaptation is suicide. Real strength lies not in dying for a myth, but in learning and surviving the storm.